Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us today. Our NBC sports coverage kicks off this weekend, and our 20-race schedule, all of you have that. Joining us today are our booth announce team, Jeff Burton, closest to me, Sam Flood, our executive producer, Steve Letarte next to him, and Rick Allen, our play-by-play broadcaster. We're going to start with some opening remarks from each gentleman, and then we'll open it up to your questions. Let's just start on the end here with Jeff.
Well, first of all, it's great to be back. The enthusiasm from our end is really high. We've spent a lot of time watching the races and watching this year the quality of racing on the racetrack, and every week we've just gotten more excited to get back. So to come to Daytona, where we are pretty sure it's going to be an interesting race and a wild race like it always is a great place for us to come back. And I think excitement is the word for us because it's really, really fun to be back at the racetrack.
Well, we wanted to have everyone in here just to celebrate his 50th birthday. So that's the most important part of the day is
he called him out.
Our young man in the booth. So happy birthday to Mr. Burton.
How old are you, Sam?
It just turned.
It's turned quickly. We're fired up to get going. We've got some new toys and some new ideas for this year, which we think will help engage the fans, showcase the sport in a brighter, faster way. We've got this bat cam that's going to fly down the backstretch here that can go up to 100 miles an hour. It goes 0 to 70 in 1.5 seconds. So that camera is going to be something that's never been seen before at a NASCAR track, and we're really excited about it. It's going to be fast, and it's going to showcase this speed, especially with the pack racing we have here. We think it'll be a fabulous change in addition to the telecast. One other
Otto Bolden's carrying that camera, right?
Yes. Okay. Our sprinter, Otto Bolden, will have it. Otto, who's a multiple-time Olympic medal winner and a track analyst for us, joins the group to be the fish out of water, a guy coming into the sport, which I think everyone in this room knows what it's about, but I think there's a lot of America that's scared and doesn't understand the sport. Otto's going to be that fish out of water who's going to experience the sport for the first time and engage in all new ways, and he's going to be part of a race team one weekend. He's the ultimate fan this weekend. You'll see him in a swimming pool. You'll see him driving a motor coach. He's going to do it all this weekend to really get a sense of what it's like to be a NASCAR fan. Eventually he joins a race team. Eventually he's a pit reporter. You name it, he's going to do it and learn the sport and show that love and passion for the sport, and he'll absorb it and give it out to grow the audience. So we're very excited about that, and we're also excited that Mr. Letarte is sitting next to me.
Well, I appreciate what Sam mentions, the new toys to showcase the sport. I'm really looking forward just for the opportunity to get into the booth with these two gentlemen and showcase the sport that I feel has really delivered in the first half of the year. The stages were a big unknown, but I think they've delivered and showed the creativity, both behind the wheel. We've seen battles come into stage finishes, but we've also seen crew chiefs and engineers find ways to manipulate those stages and understand them better than their competitors and put themselves in position to win a race. And that's really what it's all about, is getting to victory lane. And then as well as the races, we have basically a new opportunity this year. We've created the NBC All-Star Pit Crew. And the concept of that is to showcase the men and women in the garage area, not the drivers, not the crew chiefs. They're well documented, they're well covered, but there are so many men and women that make up the fabric of this sport. So we kicked it off last night on NASCAR America, live here from Daytona. Each week we're going to nominate 2 to 4 people, and then in Miami we're going to make a final team of 9 or 10. So we hope to have 60 or 80 great stories through social, on the network, on NASCAR America, of the people in the garage area that I grew up racing with and the people that really make this happen. When you look through there, you guys know, you come to every race, you see the same faces, and there's so many great stories, whether it's perseverance from a challenge, whether it's just remarkable respect from their peers. Everyone has a story, so we're going to showcase those stories and hopefully show the fans what the men and women in the garage area, who they are and what they do to make the sport great.
And I'm excited just to be sitting next to Steve Letarte, because when they announced that there was going to be stages in races, the biggest smile got on his face, like, okay, there's more strategy that goes into these races now, and there's more moments, and there's more things that are going to happen throughout the race that we can highlight and we can get excited about. And that's exactly what we're here to do. We're here to tell the stories of the participants that are involved in this sport, from the drivers all the way to the guy who drives the hauler all the way out here. We're going to tell those stories, and we're going to make sure to educate everyone about how it takes place, how everything takes place with this sport, because it is It's a massive sport that travels around the country, and we want to touch as many people as we can and get them excited about what we have been passionate about for most of our lives. So that's what we're excited about to get started, and we kick it off in about an hour, maybe less.
Rick, why don't you quickly talk about some of your off-season activities on a motorcycle and what's going on with that?
Well, actually, we're gonna have a show about what I was able to do earlier this year with Kyle Petty. Every year, Kyle Petty puts together a charity ride across America. This year, we rode from Portland, Oregon, all the way to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and throughout that process, there were cameras. We had people that were documenting the whole process, that we wanted to tell that story of the campers, how it influences not only the people on the ride, but it influences lives of people that we may never even see, that we're able to give them an opportunity to come to Victory Junction Camp. And this year, I think we raised over $1.3 million for Victory Junction Camp. And that enables kids to live a somewhat normal life that might not have a normal life. And that's going to be documented tonight after the Daytona Throwback, the 2004 Daytona Throwback race. So that's immediately following that. And I was lucky enough to be on that ride. So it's an incredible experience. We hope you enjoy that. It really dives into the stories of the people that are involved with the Kyle Petty Charity Ride.
Okay, let's open it up to questions. We'll start here in front and then get back to you guys. Go ahead.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Really excited for your season to start. What is it that you think will energize the viewers that they're not getting now, that you guys feel like they need in the broadcast in order to have them watching longer?
I'll start by saying I think Fox did a great job, and really respect the telecast they do and their passion for the sport. I think we've got the opportunity this back half of the season with the race into the playoffs and the drama that goes into that. With the number of winners we have this year, it's going to change the playoff race a great deal. So I think that is the huge advantage we have on our part of the season, and no better place to kick it off than here. But Mr. Burton probably has more thoughts, and you'd rather hear him talk anyhow.
I doubt that, but I do believe that the playoffs are coming, and the pressure is starting to mount. And you know, you have drivers and teams that have had success. You've had drivers and teams that haven't. And we had a conversation a little bit ago about the silly season, how that's kind of gotten kicked off. And there's so many things that are going to start happening because the playoffs are coming. And as much as the teams want to say it's not, as much as the drivers want to say it's not, it is, the pressure is mounting and it's getting higher. And us as fans and viewers, as we see in every sport, the more stressful it is for the competitors, the more fun it is to watch. The more that's on the line, the more fun there is to watch. And having the opportunity to explain those things, explain the emotions. We've, you know, Steve and I and Kyle and Dale Jarrett, and we've been in those situations and understand those emotions and understand how hard it is when things aren't going well and how great it feels when things are. And having that opportunity to explain it, we believe that the excitement's there. The content on the track is fun to watch. It's exciting to watch. And, you know, if people watch it, they're going to come back and watch more. There's enough emotion and enough real competition on the track to have a lot of fans and a lot of excited fans.
And Claire, we enjoy getting together as a group and enjoying races with fans. And we think that enthusiasm comes across in our broadcast. Dave Burns, Chris Devoda, Kyle Petty, Kelly Stavis, Parker Kleggerman, all here with us right now, Marty Snyder. We feel like a very tight-knit family of people that just enjoy coming to the races, and we get together almost like a family and say, all right, we're going to watch this race, and the rest of the country can see and feel that energy and the love that we have for this sport, and we hope they feed off of that, and they enjoy that as well. I think that's one of the best things about our team is that we enjoy being together and just having a good time watching the races.
Gene Fournette from the Times-Union in Jacksonville. I'd like both Steve and Jeff to address this if they might. Obviously, so much sentiment for Dale Jr., so many people wanting him to win this race. Can you envision a scenario on Saturday night where it's down to the last lap and a driver who's going up against him who's already in the playoff, maybe not racing him as hard as somebody who has yet to qualify?
So I think the easiest answer to that is I was on the 24 car in 2001 at Atlanta when Kevin Harvick had that memorable win in the 29. And I can assure you through 3 and 4 and coming down the front stretch, we did everything we could do to win that race. And while the 29 winning was a great story for the sport, at that moment we didn't care. No one on our team cared. Jeff Gordon didn't care. That's what made me fall in love with the sport is while those stories are great and they're fun to write, they organically happen so spectacularly in the sport. It seems like it can't be real. But as a competitor who has worked over 2 decades to win races, I don't care about the stories. I never did. I didn't care who was the most popular winner. It was not an issue for me. My goal was to go out and prepare a car to give my driver the best opportunity to win that race. And I think there is a group of drivers and crew chiefs in that garage area that realize that it would be great if he wins as long as it's not at their expense. And the truth is it's all at their expense. So they don't care. And they're going to race him as hard as anyone. And I think this racing and this type of racing at Daytona has only become more and more aggressive from lap 1 to control the fields. And I think that aggression will be clear Saturday night. And I would be disappointed and shocked if anybody didn't make the same aggressive move to whomever they were racing, whether it's Dale Jr., whether it's a teammate, whether it's perhaps your brother. They're going to race each other for the win. So it'd be great if he could win, but he's going to have to go out and be Dale Jr. and get up front and control this pack and try to win the race. I can assure you no one's going to help him or give him a win.
Yeah, and the very essence of the sport is competition. The very essence of the sport is enjoying taking a win from someone. That's what competition is. And you can live your life in that race car one way. You can't live your life out of that race car the same way. If you do, when they bury you, no one comes to your funeral. But the fact of the matter is, when you're in that race car, you don't give a damn about anybody but you, and especially coming to the line. During the race, you work with each other. You try to help someone, but you're trying to help that person because that helps you. And this is a selfish sport. You have to be selfish. You have to be self-centered. You have to be arrogant. You have to do a lot of things that your mom told you not to do. And that's what happens when you put that helmet on. And anything less than that, those drivers won't be employed very long.
Yeah.
Mike Embry, USA Today. Let me ask you 2 things, Sam. When you're trying to bring in new fans, do you emphasize more things like gadgets like new cameras, et cetera, or do you work on the personalities of the drivers, trying to show more about them, different angles about the drivers? Is there a mix or a balance there, or do you tend to lean one way or the other?
It's a balance. It's an important balance. I think I was talking to the group last night about the Stanley Cup final and how Nashville, which is probably more a NASCAR market, Nashville, than a hockey market, and how they fell in love with the sport of hockey, and how there's a different passion in that building and a different understanding. And by the end of the Stanley Cup finals, a whole new group of fans have been created. And part of it was we did a few things a little bit differently. At the intermissions, Carrie Underwood popped up and did an interview with Liam McHugh and Mike Milbury. That kind of element probably wouldn't have happened a while ago. You look at things differently, you engage fans differently. I think we've got a group that's very welcoming. It's really important that the door is open and people feel like they're welcome into the sport, and some of the code and the words that are part of the garage talk have to be explained, but not dumbing it down. There's a balance that has to happen. And I do think toys help. I think it's nice to have Batcam is going to have a cool look that people are going to say, wow. And if we can get people to watch 1 more minute, 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes, the longer they watch, the more they'll fall in love and get to know these stories. And the sport has this great group of young drivers coming in, and they're winning races now. So how do we expose them? How do we get you to care about those personalities? Because ultimately in any sport, it's star-driven.
And secondly, there's been a lot of talk lately about a certain retiring driver's possible future in TV, and I think you've commented some about that. If that occurs, how do you see him fitting into your broadcast if that should happen down the road?
You want to step off the stage?
I think it's one of those, if it happens, wonderful. It'll be a nice problem to have and a nice opportunity to have to figure out what we'd do. But he's a special character in the sport. He's got a lot to offer. His passion for the sport is clear. his love for the history of the sport and what it means to him, to his family, and to the people out there is neat. But it's really in his world where he wants to be and what he wants to do once he races his last race at the end of the season.
Don't you feel like you've got an inside track on him with Steve? Like, you guys want him? Don't you guys sort of make it happen in some shape or form?
I don't think people really like Steve.
Just twist his arm, Steve.
I mean, do you guys want him? Would you guys like to find a way to make him work in with the 3U? Because you guys have a good thing going right now.
Again, he's a talented guy. If he's available and wants to do it, we'll certainly be open to have that conversation.
What's that?
Are we called? Did you
It's
just
in
call us peanut
my
gallery?
old job, I decided who worked there. In my new job, I have a boss, so I just do as I'm told.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net, PRN. Sam, curious about the camera, the 100-mile-an-hour camera. Can you explain that a little more in detail how that's going to work?
It's going to go fast, and it's going to go on a cable from point to point in a straight line down the backstretch. And you can probably see it if you walk outside. You'll see it. We're beginning to play around with it today. And it's going to be fast and fun. And there are two ways you can shoot it. You can shoot it going along with the cars as the cars go with it and past it, or you can shoot it going at the cars, so you'll have a crisscross and pattern, which will really show the speed. So we're going to play and have fun. We got a great director in Mike Wells, and he's going to make sure his toy is used properly. And we'll use it up to 7 races this year. Yeah, 7 races is the plan. Up to.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. Sam, obviously the backcam's been used in other sports, but did you have to do any convincing with NASCAR about it? And is it being used on the backstretch specifically because of safety reasons?
I think it's a combination of reasons. We think the backstretch is a place that could use a little extra energy, and that's a good place to have it. So that's the primary reason. But I'm not sure the past history would make them as comfortable putting it over the front stretch and the crowd. We're keeping it off the track. We're keeping it a place that we think will best showcase the speed. And ultimately, that's the objective.
And can you say, is it much different than what was I know it's a different system.
It's a lot faster. It's a lot faster. Speed sells. So it's all about the speed versus the more traditional.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. So 3 years in, the enthusiasm obviously has not dwindled at all. The objective to find new ways to engage the fans is still there. But has this venture coming back in, Sam or anybody, has the idea and the process of coming back into NASCAR, has this been everything you guys thought it would be, and has it been worth it?
Totally. We are totally in love with the sport, in love with the opportunity to grow the sport. There are so many good things and good people that we get to work with. And our job is to expose them to as many people as possible and keep growing it. And we know that the NASCAR grew the most it ever grew during the period from 2001 to 2006 when we were part of the sport. And that's our intent, and that's the work we're going to lean in hard on the rest of this year and throughout this contract, and hopefully long, long past this contract ends, we'll still be partners with NASCAR because we like working with these people, we like what the sport represents, and we think it's an important part of this country and the sports world.
Sam, the last few weeks, unrelated to you, there was some grumbling within the industry and on social media about late start times. How does the network go about, what is your role in setting a start time?
Well, NASCAR sets the start times. It's their decision. We want to try and accumulate the largest possible audience, and start times has something to do with that. So it's a combination of factors, and NASCAR's obviously has the ultimate say on when and where and what time the races start. We do prefer some later start times, which will have more people at home. People using television later in the day, it's just a fact that there are more people available. And so that is part of the reason of the timing that makes some sense.
And my second question, also not specifically related to you, but the first half of the season had did not improve in television ratings. Does that concern you, and how do you attack that?
Well, I think we can control what we can control, and that's putting the best possible product on the air. And that's the job of the guys up here next to me and the group over here to make sure it's entertaining. And we also make sure that we market and get the word out as well as we possibly can that this is must-see TV. And we've got a good history and a good track record at NBC of making events bigger. You know, you go back through, we turned the Kentucky Derby into a national holiday. We took Sunday Night Football from a lesser night to the night of football and the #1 rated show on television. We know how to do this. We just need to work hard, and it's going to take some digging, but we're going to get there because we believe in the sport, we believe in these people, and we believe that it is a great product on television, and we want more people in the stands. We want people to enjoy it and be as passionate about the sport the way they were in '01 when we came in the first time. And we think that's all possible. We wouldn't be sitting here and working as hard as we are and planning as hard as we are if we didn't believe that was going to happen.
Anybody else? One more over here.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com for Sam. Do you guys plan to do anything different after the races in terms of interviews or anything about how you present post-race?
I think you should stick around and find out because it's at samflood.samflood.com. We've been talking about it, so we got some ideas. But hold on to that thought, and we'll go from there. Tease.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
You guys.
It'll be available for a few minutes before they head out.